Hey guys, Dan here for BladeReviews.com, and today I'm going to be offering up a little knife comparison between the ZT-0550 and the ZT-0560. Two cool hard-use knives designed by Rick Hinderer, made by Zero Tolerance, and yeah, I'm hoping this will be a fun little comparison. And let's get the show on the road. Let's start things off with some quick specs. So the 560 has an overall length of 8.8 inches, and of course the 560 is on the bottom here, by the way. 550 right there. So 8.8 inches, 8.125 inches. So clearly the 560 is the bigger knife here. As far as our blade length goes, got a 3.5 inch long blade on the 550 and 3 3/4 on the 560. Weight is actually exactly the same. Both these guys are 5.8 ounces. Pretty interesting. And I'm going to show you the thickness of these knives in a sec, but first let's do a quick comparison with a couple other popular knives. What I've got here is a trusty Para 2, great size comparison knife, and then I've got, and most people can already guess what I'm going to put down here, of course it's a Griptilian, Benchmade Griptilian, another great knife for comparisons. And you can see all four lined up. Pretty interesting. Hopefully gives you a little more context as to what you might expect if you were to purchase either of those knives. Alright, so let's compare thicknesses here. And I don't have any calipers or anything, so we're just gonna do this the old-fashioned way. We're just gonna eyeball it. But it looks to me like the 550 is slightly thicker, although part of that might be an illusion just because this 550 features much thicker handle materials. You got nice thick slabs of titanium and G10, the stainless steel liner, and the 560 is just a little bit slimmer. So there you have it. Let's examine these blades a little bit closer. And they're very similar. Of course, 560 is longer and it's got more of a stretched out kind of shape to it, but they're both modified drop points. They both have very similar swedges and high flat grinds. Let's take a look at them from the top. Now I believe blade thickness is the same, but you can start to see how the 560 carries more steel to the tip, at least it appears to, from what I can see. And so that's pretty interesting. Blade steel on the top here on the 560 is L-Max. On the 550 we have S35VN, although if you were to get the special edition, the ZT-0551, that would also come in L-Max. Both are high-end steels. To be honest with you, I don't have tons of experience with L-Max, so I'm not really sure how it compares to S35, but they're both supposed to be really good, so I assume they're both going to perform pretty similarly. At least the steels themselves. The differences in blade geometry and blade shape, etc., that'll always affect cutting performance and stuff, but both are high-end steels. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the handles here. I got a lot of stuff I want to, let's close the knives. Let's show you these knives closed. I almost forgot. There's a lot of stuff and I don't want to forget anything. So here they are closed, and you can see 560, yeah, it's still bigger, but they share similarities in their closed profiles. So now let's take a closer look at those machined handle scales, and both of them have nicely textured handles. Of course, the 560 is much more aggressive, and it's that 3D machining, so it really pops. It's really quite cool. The 550, it's kind of ho-hum. This pattern doesn't really do too much for me, but it is functional, we'll say that. But the 560 is pretty cool. And again, I don't know if I mentioned this, but it does curve. It's got that 3D thing going on, so it's pretty interesting and quite elaborate. Same can be said on this side. So it took some machine time to put this one together. It did for both, but you can see, there's a little bit more going on with the 560. So there you have the locking side. You got that nice texturing repeated over on the 560. 550 is just plain. Now I would like to call your attention to the interiors of these knives. You can see both have been nicely milled out on the liner side, the steel liner, but if you look on the locking side, and this is going to take some maneuvering here, if you look on the locking side, you'll notice, hopefully you'll notice, if you can see, that the 560 is milled out inside and the 550 is not. So I really like that. That's a really cool little detail on the 560. That's what, it's part of the reason why this thing is so light for its size, and just a neat little effect. I actually haven't seen that on a production titanium frame lock before, so really cool. Let's examine the pocket clips. And the 560 gets another nice little upgrade. They've slapped this new special zero tolerance clip on there. And while I didn't mind the old clip, the one found on the 550, it is nice to see something, just for the ZT. Let's face it, the clip on the 550 is the same one found on the Kershaw Skyline, which you could, buy for 30 bucks at Walmart. So it's great to see them, come up with a special clip for these admittedly expensive knives. So very cool. And the 560 carries really well. I think it carries just a little bit better than that 550. I don't know. Maybe it's because the weight's a little bit more evenly distributed. Maybe it's a slightly better clip. It does ride a little bit lower. But and maybe it's the fact that it does feel a little bit slimmer in pocket too. Anyhow, just my observations. Both have that Hinderer lock bar stabilizer, by the way. And they have the same pillars here too. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the ergonomics. And both have kind of exaggerated, not exaggerated, but they both have good finger choils, good jimping and stuff, good texture. So they both feel very comfortable in hand. We won't spend a lot of time on ergos. Let's talk about the deployment. So you saw me use the thumb studs on the 560. Very smooth, very nice. You actually have two options here. You also have the flipper, which works well. Two, nice and smooth, very fast. The 550, you just have thumb studs, but I don't want to detract from the flippability of the 550. It's still nice and easy to flip out. Great deployment. Now, one interesting difference is it can be found in the pivot area, and the 550 has phosphor bronze washers, whereas the 560 features KVT, or it is Kershaw Velocity technology. And what that is, if you can see, it's actually a ball bearing system. And it's a ball bearing system, but it also has a Teflon kind of race or cup or whatever you want to call it. It's a semi-closed bearing system. And how this would differ from, say, something like IKBS is that Teflon, it's like a Teflon washer, and then the bearings are pressed in there. Whereas with something like IKBS, the bearings are just kind of free floating in there. So if you were to take the knife apart, all the bearings would, go all over the place. With this, they're stuck in that Teflon, so you just pull out one piece, and if you're going to replace it, you just pop in another one. So that's kind of interesting. Very smooth. Really like it a lot, and it's my first experience with KVT, and I'll tell you, I'm loving it. So very cool. But I don't have a problem with the phosphor bronze washers in the 550, with that said. Okay, as far as lockup goes, let's examine that. They both have beefy frame locks, and I'll tell you, ZT and Rick Hinder, they know how to make a frame lock. These are both done right, nice and early. Of course, the 550 is much thicker material, but no blade play in either of these guys, and they don't stick either. There's nothing like that, nothing, but it's just smooth sailing with both of these, so they're very nice. Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps things up. I guess we can talk about the price. You're looking at a retail of $200 and $260 for the 560. So what do I think if I had to pick between the two? Well, really like this 560. They stepped it up a notch, although I do like the overall size of the 550. But yeah, both are great knives. They're very cool, and I would be happy to have either in my collection. So I'm totally stoked to be able to do this little comparison and have both to share with you today. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Of course, I will have a review on the 560 coming out soon, and I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the videos and leave nice comments and ask questions and stuff like that. So feel free to do that, and I will be working hard on putting together some more knife reviews for you. So, sit back, relax, and until next time, take care.